May 5th, 2025. It's an interesting kind of week because it's sort of between, it's almost the midst of tensions. It's between the tensions. It's a little bit like the space of the weeks between eclipses, like we're feeling the tension from just before this week and we're building towards next week's, but we're sort of in a little bit of a lull, I would say, a little bit of a lull. I wouldn't guess it'd be much of a lull. We start the week on May 5th. We're coming off of the Pluto station on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you, as Sylvester the cat used to say. And so we're still rattling from that Pluto station. I have to say, I'm recording this a little bit early. I'm recording this a little bit early on Wednesday, the 30th. So in case the world ends or something like that before May 5th, I apologize for not catching that. I don't know what happens as a result of the Pluto station. I'm not quite sure how things are playing out. I don't know where the vibe is when you're watching this, even if you're watching as early as Saturday the 3rd. But Saturday the 3rd, Sunday the 4th, Monday the 5th, there is that Pluto station vibe. Everybody kind of wants to do their thing. Everybody wants the power and control. Cooperation is probably at something of a low point. Tensions could easily rise. On the other hand, we have to look at this vibe as being very good for transformative processes and getting things rolling, particularly in the collective. The way the collective is responding to the Pluto station in Aquarius is really key, right? I mean, each of us individually, no matter where Pluto stations, no matter what sign, we feel a little bit of that kind of like, oh, I want the power in my own life. That's okay. Or it's not okay. It depends how what you do with it. On the collective level, though, Pluto in Capricorn, very much about power and control in government and industry. Pluto in Aquarius is very much about power and control in the collective. The collective. Things like the effect of, let's say, a politician's approval rating or their ability to form a coalition in a new government or something like that. That's all very Pluto in Aquarius. Who's really got the power? Who's really got the power? So, but that's the collective level, and things are always stewing at the collective level. That begins the week. That begins the week. Now, on Monday, the moon is going to be in Leo, which stirs up and ignites the Pluto station because it's opposite Aquarius. That happens during the weekend. But by Monday, though, the moon is really moving far towards the end of Leo, so it's not quite the influence that it was over the weekend. And then the moon goes into Virgo later on Monday, and that carries us through midweek. And generally speaking, I would say about that's an opportunity for us to just do some work, get some stuff done. It's an earthy vibe. It's practical, it's detail oriented. So maybe, after things kind of like have been flowing around for a while, up in the air, not everything, but some stuff can come under your control and you can kind of deal with things on an individual, got this on the table in front of me, I'll do something about it kind of level. The moon goes on to go into Libra, and then towards the weekend goes into Scorpio, and we build towards next Monday's Scorpio full moon. That is quite a full moon. The Scorpio full moon is always a big deal. It's always a point where, I mean, Scorpio is a sign that digs and looks for, sort of kind of pick at things, and the full moon always brings things to light. There's an emotional intensity about Scorpio, a holding back and then releasing. And, technically the new moon is on Monday, the 12th, and we'll talk about it a lot next week. And there's a lot of stuff to say about it that I'm not getting to right here. That's why you should subscribe. Um, but the tensions of that first quarter moon in Scorpio are excuse me, the full moon in Scorpio are felt pretty strongly as we get through the weekend. So, I mean, particularly, I'm thinking like something like Sunday, Saturday and into Sunday. We're feeling that energy building, and actually, the release on Monday might not be as tense as the build up to it that we feel Saturday and Sunday. So, again, for most of us, these aspects just indicate a time when people are going to be a little pissy and when we're likely to be a little pissy ourselves. Boy, last week's Mars Pluto opposition, was I in a mood? I'll tell you what, it was really that was a tense time. And I know, and this is what it's good for. This is what the forecasts are good for. I go, okay, well, it's the Mars Pluto opposition. Of course, I'm in such a mood and I'm so sick and tired of all of this, and you say, okay, but maybe I shouldn't act on it. Maybe I shouldn't, explode on my family members and things like that because I know, well, this is the Mars Pluto opposition. And sure enough, by Sunday, I was like, well, it wasn't such a big deal after all. So this week is bookended by some tense times. And then in the midst, we have in the middle of the week, not the midst, in the middle of the week, we have a little bit of bringing down the energy to a level where we might work at it as the moon goes through Libra and before that, Virgo. So that's the general outline. We have a couple of aspects that come up this week. We have Mercury is going to be sextile to both Pallas Athene, the truth teller asteroid, who's over in Aquarius, and Jupiter, who is, of course, at the end of Gemini. So we have Mercury in Aries, which is really ready to say what it's got to say, connecting with both Pallas Athene, which is very much like, and we're going to speak the truth again at the collective level. This probably reflects quite a bit on the Pluto station and how things come out. And then Mercury is also sextile to Jupiter. That sort of implies a Jupiter Pallas Athene trine. Anyway, again, messages getting out, delivered in a, I'm gonna say direct Aries way, but also, with the principle idealism of Aquarius and a little bit of the sociability of Jupiter in Gemini. So, again, communication kind of stuff going on. This is early in the week. And then, not too deep into the week, we also have Venus sextile Pluto. Venus is newly in Aries, where she favors a sort of more outgoing social vibe. As I said last week, this is traditionally the sign of Venus's detriment. Traditionalists like the goddess of love and beauty to be more demure and sort of wait to be asked kind of thing. But Venus in Aries is really very good when it comes to social things and even romance. Um, even romance. Very good when it comes to socializing and connecting with others, and the ability to strategize and do things on our own terms for what really suits our personal temperaments, rather than, the social rules and mores, such as they continue to still exist, which is, sort of up in the air. Anyway, Venus in Aries gets kind of a bad reputation, but really doesn't deserve it. It's a pretty good time. The sextile to Pluto, it seems a little bit like, you want to do your thing, but you can connect with others. And again, this is sort of during the Virgo side of the week, but it does continue. The moon will light up these aspects anyway as it goes through Libra. So it is kind of like I can do what I want to do. We can connect socially and we can probably work out things with the group. It's a good opportunity. It's a very good opportunity. I think I think all the aspects this week suggest good opportunities to connect with others either in groups, but or one-to-one type of thing. But the flip side of the story is that if you want to go do your own thing, Venus in Aries doesn't necessarily need to or is inclined to compromise. And so while that Venus Pluto sextile might indicate, I'm also doing it early on early on April 30th. So while Venus sextile Pluto can indicate the ability to get what you want done and get the group, to kind of at least harmonize with what you want to do, it also suggests that the group will say, okay, listen, if you want to go do that, you do that. It's fine. You got our blessings, but we're gonna stay here and do our thing too. And as long as you're okay with that, that should be a pretty good energy. So we begin the week with a lot of tension. If you're watching on the weekend before, then May 3rd, 4th, and 5th is pretty tense. And the weekend, I'm saying Saturday, Sunday, Monday, also has a lot of intensity. But everything in between is pretty workable. And, so work at it.